Lindsey Graham has betrayed the Republicans. He says he will oppose subpoena for Hunter Biden. And I gotta admit, I'm really upset by this. I'm not like super upset, whatever. I'm fairly ambivalent most of the time. But I think it's absurd. Of all the people I want to see testify, it's Joe and Hunter Biden. You know, they're impeaching the president based on this idea that they've made up. What we can prove so far with the Democrats is that Trump was asking for an investigation into Biden. The issue here is motivation. Was Trump motivated to win re-election, or was he motivated to weed out corruption? Well, they never even asked. The Democrats in the impeachment inquiry never asked a single person as to the motive of Donald Trump. They've made everything up. They say Donald Trump asked for an investigation into Joe Biden. He did it because of these things. You never proved it. You've never provided evidence. You are speculating. So I'd like to see testimony, because if it turns out that Hunter Biden is guilty and Joe Biden knew about it or is involved, well, that would add evidence to suggest Donald Trump was correct. At the very least, though, all Democrats have proven is that the worst case, Donald Trump's stupid and he believed fake news. That's it. They have in no way proven Trump actually did anything illegal. But I will say this. Lindsey Graham, I'll give him some respect. It's not easy to buck the party line. So if, you know, when it comes to Matt Gaetz, define the Republicans voting with Democrats. If it comes to Lindsey Graham, I got to be honest, man. I personally think this is the bad move. Hunter Biden should testify. Okay, he should. But I can respect that Lindsey is doing this for one reason. Look, man, the Democrats are nuts when they force all of their members to vote the way they want, as if voting for party is more important than voting for your principles. Now, I can be disappointed that Lindsey Graham is going to oppose the subpoena of Hunter Biden for sure, but I can respect his willingness to say, this is what I believe. I'm not going to defy this. Look at Jeff Van Drew. They're doing this rally in 4 days in Wildvine, which is Jeff Van Drew's district. Trump is doing this rally in a Democrat's district who now flipped Republican. I respect Van Drew for saying, no, you can't force me to do this. I'm going to vote for what I believe is right. And he switched to the Republican side. If the Republicans start playing this game of slamming their own because their own are proving to not be cultists, you kind of just make yourselves look like you're as bad as the Democrats. Matt Gaetz got a ton of flack because he voted in line with Democrats to limit Trump's war powers with Iran. You know what? I don't know if it was the right or wrong thing. I tend to be more constitutionalist, so it sounds like it's the right thing to make sure that the president's powers are limited. And Matt Gaetz was willing to assert that, and a lot of Republicans got mad. That makes me angry. If the Republicans are going to play the same tribal nonsense Democrats are, then why would anyone give them any benefit of the doubt in regards to whether or not they're standing on the real moral ground, right? Republicans like to point out all of the things that Democrats do that are hypocritical, and so do I. But then when I turn around and see Republicans doing similar things in terms of, you know, slamming Graham or slamming Gaetz, calling him a traitor and things like that, I'm like, dude, they went to Jeff Van Drew's office and said, vote for us or we'll remove you. And that's disgusting. OK, if you can't secure the votes, that's your problem. Lindsey Graham is going to oppose it. I disagree. I want Hunter Biden to testify. But hey, I'm glad that he's standing up for himself. And I'll tell you this. The great opportunity for Republicans, when the Republicans break party lines, is to say we are not cultists like the Democrats are. And while we disagree, we accept Lindsey Graham and we're going to try and talk to him and see if he'll change his mind. That's about it. That's about it. But Matt Gaetz got the worst of it. Let's read the story. From the Hill, they say, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham says he will vote against a motion to subpoena Hunter Biden if a majority of colleagues agree next week that additional witnesses and documents need to be summoned for President Trump's impeachment trial. If Republican colleagues introduce a motion to subpoena former Vice President Joe Biden's son, Graham said, I vote against it. Graham's opposition essentially kills the threat that Republicans have wielded in recent weeks, that if Democrats win a motion to hear from additional witnesses, such as former National Security Advisor John Bolton and acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, they will retaliate by subpoenaing the Bidens. Republican lawmakers such as Senators Rand Paul and John Kennedy have threatened to weaponize the debate over witnesses by forcing the Bidens into the impeachment spotlight. Paul has argued that Trump's defense team should be allowed to call whatever witnesses they want. They should, especially Voldemort, you know, the whistleblower guy, I can't say his name, and Sean Misko, one of Schiff's staff, and Adam Schiff. The president gets to call anybody he thinks would be good for his defense. The prosecution can call who they want. But I don't think we should selectively call witnesses that don't like the president. I'm gonna make another point too. I want to see Biden testify. I think Lindsey Graham might be right. Just because the Democrats played the game doesn't mean Republicans should either. Republicans should quash the impeachment. They shouldn't call in Biden. They should just say, we're dismissing this. Now, I'll tell you what I really want to see. You know what I really want to see? Voldemort and Misko testify. I want to see Schiff and his team and the people who started this testifying and under oath explaining these things, talking about a certain Colonel Vindman, and I want to know what's really going on. However, I recognize there's a serious problem in that a constant tit for tat between the Democrats and the Republicans can destabilize everything. The best thing for Republicans to do is actually just shut it down and then win in November, because they likely are going to anyway. But if they play this game where they call Hunter Biden, it will never persist. The ends don't justify the means. Two wrongs don't make a right. As much as it will be emotionally satisfying to see this, I really do think for the good of the country, you have to just have these Democrats who are presenting all this fake nonsense be soundly defeated. But here's the big challenge. Without exculpatory evidence, a testimony from Hunter Biden, from people associated with Burisma, from Chalupa, we may not get a definitive answer. And what will happen is, if Lindsey Graham does block this, look, I'll tell you this, it's complicated. It may be better that Hunter Biden testifies so the nation can have clarity. Because if they dismiss this, the Democrats are going to say the Republicans never gave it a fair shot and they're obstructing us. They're going to call it a cover-up. And you're going to have a lot of people who believe it. But if Hunter Biden testifies and he starts saying things that turn out, yeah, it was corruption and Donald Trump was right, then we can unify this country. So I'm concerned that there are two really big negative possibilities. With Lindsey Graham opposing this, it's possible that America will never be unified. But then on the other end, if he does bring in Biden and Biden doesn't present any exculpatory evidence, then it'll just escalate the tensions. So I'll tell you what, man, I really don't know what the right answers are. What I can tell you is that from a PR point of view, Republicans would be wise not to slam Graham too hard over this. I'll tell you again, man. The Democrats play this culty game of in line or else. We just saw it earlier today with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan endorses Bernie and they say, too bad, it's not good enough. You're never good enough for the weird culties. So the Republicans should not be playing that game. You can be mad about Graham. My response, look, there's a lot of things I don't agree with Lindsey Graham on. He's probably not someone I'd ever vote for. But I recognize, he's an important figure in the Senate. And I would like to see Hunter Biden testify. I'm disappointed he's opposing it. Perhaps someone should have a conversation with him, talk about the reason why he should be. They say, Kennedy argued that Trump's lawyers would likely want to cross-examine the Bidens. I feel pretty confident, though, I don't know it for a fact, that the defense team is going to want to call its witnesses, including but not limited to the Bidens, and, as a fact witness, the whistleblower, aka Voldemort. Senate Majority Leader McConnell has also opened the door to subpoenaing Hunter Biden. When you get to that issue, I can't imagine that only the witnesses that our Democratic colleagues would want to call would be called. Graham acknowledged he doesn't yet know of 3 other Republicans to vote against subpoenaing Hunter Biden, but his opposition to the move all but guarantees that it won't happen. I need some Republicans who would say as much as I want to know more about Burisma and the Bidens, this is not the venue. I've got to find 4, he said. So it's entirely possible. It doesn't matter what Graham thinks. It doesn't matter if he votes for or against it. If the Republicans agree to bring in Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, they're coming. Republicans control 53 seats. Democrats have 47. A motion to subpoena witnesses could deadlock on a 50-50 vote. If Graham says that hauling Hunter Biden before the Senate would be going down too much of a political rabbit hole, it's extremely hard to imagine moderates such as Senator Susan Collins, Murkowski, and Romney doing so. I wouldn't call Romney a moderate. He's more of a never-Trumper. Graham said there should be an investigation into Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine and what he did as a highly compensated board member of Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian gas company, but he warned the impeachment trial is not the appropriate venue. I don't want to call Hunter Biden. I don't want to call Joe Biden. I want someone to look at this when this is done. I'm sorry, it doesn't work, Lindsey. You're wrong. He says, I don't think it's wrong for us to look at the Biden connection in Ukraine, the $3 million given to the vice president's son by the most corrupt company in Ukraine. The problem is, was Trump right? And if Trump is removed from office, he won't be, but he's already been impeached. Trump deserves to be exonerated if he was right. And in the worst case, proven that he was wrong. That's it. If they say, you know what, we're going to do impeachment first, and a year later they do Hunter Biden, what are they going to do? post, after the fact say, oh, we were wrong about it, the trial against Trump. Turns out he was actually right to investigate the Bidens, and he shouldn't have been impeached in the first place. That should be discovered now, before the impeachment trial is concluded. So Graham said he's going to oppose the subpoenas because it needs to end. And he's not wrong about that. Republicans should just vote to shut it all down, okay? Just get rid of it. Look, man, there's no high crimes or misdemeanors. I know the left is arguing that high crimes and misdemeanors is an analogy for public trust. Sorry, it doesn't say that, period. Therefore, Republicans should have walked up and said, the Constitution reads, the president can be impeached for treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanors. As the Democrats have accused the president of none of these things, we move to dismiss. Bye. End of story. Whatever, man. I hate impeachment. I hate talking about it. So we'll see what happens. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Podcast every day at 6:30 p.m. And I will see you all then.